What a great phrase. Tough times don't last, but tough teams do. And that is so true. And who knows what tough times we've all got ahead of us. But one thing I do know is that each and every one of us will come through those tough times much sooner if we've got a strong team behind us. And by that, I don't necessarily mean in the corporate world. I mean in terms of our social network or our friendships, or even a sports team, quite literally. If we've got good, tough teams and we're part of those teams, we will ride the rough times much, much better. And that's what this presentation is all about, how to ensure that we have good teams. We're part of a good team, we take part in a good team, and we give and take from that team. First off, I start by asking you a question. I often, if you've ever watched any of my presentations or been to any of my courses, get you involved. Now, how comfortable are you with asking for help? Very uncomfortable or very comfortable, very willing, very open to it? How likely are you to ask for help, or how unlikely are you? Now, obviously, I don't know your answer. If we were in a large team meeting and I was doing this to you and all the audience, I would get you all to stand up and show me who feels comfortable, who feels uncomfortable by sitting down. But for the purposes of today, I'm going to assume you're below average at your willingness and comfort in asking for help. And my question now is, what is your block? What stops you? What makes you feel uncomfortable? And there are common toxic thinking patterns around this. These are the common reasons I get from audiences. The fear of seeming weak. Asking for help makes us weak and vulnerable at times, or should it? I will tackle that in a second. Fear perhaps of being turned down or rejected, and the embarrassment that might go with that. Sometimes it just doesn't cross our minds to ask for help because we're so used to just struggling on. In fact, that's a phrase you sometimes hear. Hi, how are you? Struggling on. It's a terrible phrase. But it says a lot, doesn't it? Then there's the shoulds. People mistakenly feel they should be able to do it all. None of us can do it all. Only robots can do that. And then they can't do everything. We all have weaker areas, or we have tough times, or we have busy times. There is no should here. In fact, any of you who may have had coaching, one-to-one coaching with me, will know that I ban the word should. Don't should on yourself. Says who? You say it to you, and it puts loads of pressure on you and sets you up for failure. I should be good at this. I should be able to do that. Says who? No, you could, but sometimes you can't. So that cuts you some slack. Then there's sometimes the reluctance to be a bit of a burden. But that's a false premise. And then there's a sense of pride. So all of these are unhelpful thinking. They're not functional, they're not healthy, but I hope to be able to squash them in this presentation and show you why flipping it on its head and being willing to open yourself up to some help is a strength. What are the benefits then of asking for help? Well, there's many. First of all, the great sign is it's a willingness for you to put yourself in the discomfort zone. Many of us like being in our comfort zone. It's safe, it's uncomplicated, it's easy. But we can get stuck there, we can get complacent there, and we certainly don't grow and develop there. In contrast, though, when we get out of our comfort zone, when we put ourselves in some kind of discomfort and we feel comfortable feeling uncomfortable, that's where the growth and development is. So the fact that you're prepared and you push yourself to ask for some help, you are now going in the discomfort zone, and you're going to learn. You'll learn from that person that helps you. You might learn a skill set and a bit of experience, a bit of knowledge, and you can certainly grow. If you don't grow learning from them because they take the task over, you can grow in other ways because it frees you up to concentrate on other more pressing areas. So it's got to be a good thing. Another area as well is a great sign that you've chosen to protect your greatest asset, and that is you, your health, your well-being, and your functioning, your sleep, your stress, your work-life balance, everything. And I always say the phrase, you can't pour from an empty jug. So it means if you're protecting your asset, e.g. you're filling up your jug, you're recharging, you're looking after you, and you're then able, and much, much better able to give to all those that need from you. So look after you first, you're then able to give so much more from a much healthier, stronger position to anybody and everybody that needs from you. And they do, and that's life, that's okay. So it is not a weakness asking for help, it's actually a strength, and everybody around you benefit from you looking after you. It's a weakness plodding on and making yourself ill, or breaking point, or dropping those plates, making a mistake, getting the sack, whatever, the business folds. That's a weakness. And you gain different insights, different ideas, different approaches by asking for people's advice, or for their help, or for their knowledge and assistance and opinions. You grow, and 72% of people who receive awards are found to be very proactive in doing this, very willing and very open. And so you can see that there's evidence that you will grow as a result, and it is not therefore a weakness, it is a true strength. And also, by asking people for their help, you're helping them to build too, because you're showing them that you respect their knowledge, you respect their help, you respect them as people. That makes them feel good. You're tapping into their knowledge and expertise. You all benefit. It's a win-win. So you're building the people around you. And when I say teams, I don't just mean corporation teams, organizational work teams. I mean all sorts of teams, friends, sport, all of it, that just those people around you. We all need many teams. So why does it matter if you do build and if you ask for help? Why does that matter? Well, teams, people, are made up of individuals. If you strengthen the individuals, the whole team strengthens. Equally, if you strengthen the team, the individuals within that team strengthen. So it's a win-win situation. And the little phrase, a tree is not a forest, is so true. So if we concentrate on ourselves, get a little bit of help and expertise and more knowledge, we improve. And if we build the team and do that for the team too, all of us improve. And we become much, much stronger as a unit. I was listening recently to an interview with Sally Gunnell. She's a British athletic great. She is actually the only woman she was all at the same time an Olympian, an Olympic gold medal winner, a world and European 400 meters hurdles champion, and simultaneously held the world record. That's the only person I think that's ever done that, possibly, or certainly at that time. But what was so interesting about that phenomenal success, huge success she's had, but she mentions in that interview a lot that it was her willingness to ask for help that helped her reach her full potential. She knew she had some weak areas, and she knew she couldn't address all of those weak areas because she didn't have the knowledge. And she was ahead of herself there. This was back in the 90s when she was the athletic great that she was. And it wasn't as done in the 90s as it is perhaps these days. She reached out and got help on nutrition. She knew she didn't know all the answers, and that would help give her the edge. In particular, though, she reached out for expert psychological help and support. She knew one of her weaker areas was her mindset, her self-doubt, her questioning, and just her confidence, her inner confidence. And she knew if she could build that and strengthen that with some expert help, then she would really have everything she needed, as well as a track and her speed and her strength and her fitness. She knew there was a much bigger picture, and she was so ahead of herself there. And she still talks now. In fact, she's a motivational, inspirational speaker and all sorts of things. She does great work working with youngsters and developing them. But her underlying, her underpinning belief is that we all need to ask for help in order to reach our full potential in all areas of our life, any areas of our life. Don't hold back, be open to asking for help. And that was her key message in her interview. It was fascinating. Also, if we look at evolution, teamwork, I do not believe it was survival of the fittest in evolution. I don't have that belief, because if it had been survival of the fittest would have gone off and hunted by themselves and fended for themselves and survived, but they wouldn't have survived for very long. They would have got disease, or they would have been attacked and injured, and by themselves, they can't survive. Therefore, they wouldn't have passed their genes and DNA on. I believe it was survival of the strongest, most collaborative, supportive teams. We had to work in little communities and little tribes, looking after each other, nursing each other, bringing up the young ones, feeding, hunting, nursing, etc. And I think the strongest little tribes and teams that did that and fended off predators and rival communities were the ones that bred and passed down their DNA. And don't forget, we are related to them. We have this innate need to have collaboration and to be social animals and to look after each other. I just think society has changed to the detriment, where we are much more likely to go into our houses, go home from work, shut the doors, close the curtains and stay inside watching Netflix or on social media or whatever. Much less likely to get out in the communities than we were a few decades ago, looking after each other and our neighbours, and having cousins and aunts down the road and across the road and in and out of our homes, looking after each other and nursing and caring and bringing up the children together and supporting each other, so that we could all help each other on the bad times, the tough times, the low times, and the struggles. Now we don't have that so much, and certainly lockdown hasn't helped that either, because we were made to lock in by ourselves and not have that contact with the outside world. And I think that's partly why we have such a mental health crisis that we have at the moment. So I think we need to get back out there and look after each other, whether it's our families, our extended families, our social networks, our neighborhoods, and our teams at work and our sports teams. We need to reach out, ask for help, and be open to giving help and support to each other, because our survival depended on it. And I do believe our survival still does. Our psychological and well-being certainly does. Another great example from the world of sport is also cycling, for example. We often think the Tour de France, the winner of the Tour de France, the yellow shirt, is a phenomenal rider. Well, yes, he is. But behind him is at least 17 other support staff, and he cannot do it without those people, the mechanics, the cooks, the doctors, the physiotherapists, etc. The domestique is a role, it's essentially a helper rider. They self-sacrifice. There's different roles in the team where people are phenomenal riders themselves in their own rights, and they self-sacrifice for that one lead rider who ultimately takes the trophy. But it has been a whole team effort. In fact, 27 to 50% reduction in wind drag comes from sitting in third or fourth position. So some of the team go forward and take first, second and third position. And that winning rider ultimately is the one that sat back, getting that benefit from the wind reduction and keeping their strength and their fitness in reserve, ready to take the trophy at the end. So they can't do it by themselves. It is a whole team effort, and it has to be a phenomenal, close, efficient team. And that's like all of us. We are as good as those people around us. As Mother Teresa said, I can do things you cannot, and you can do things I cannot. Put those together, and together we are and can achieve great things. So it is a win-win situation. It is not a weakness. Now, I ask workshops when I'm running this in front of an audience, I ask them to show a show of hands of those people that can think of a really cracking team that they've been a member of, a really, really good, effective team. Most people can remember one, can recall one. They might be in one now. You might lead one now. You might not. But if we've ever been in a great team, it feels great. It's high morale, high sense of collaboration, high sense of belonging, very deeply rewarding, very supportive. It's fun. Equally, I ask if you can remember and recall a team that wasn't effective, that was dysfunctional, disharmonious. Is that the word? Probably not. And we've all got those memories as well. So one of the examples that I give of a great team, I was watching an episode of 24 Hours in A&E, and there was a tragic situation there, a real life situation where a young woman had been hit off a motorcycle or a moped. And the ambulance was bringing her in. She had lost a leg. They were also bringing the leg in. She was in a terrible situation. And the cameras were watching as she arrived and all the teams around her. I mean, the A&E room was full of all different specialties, all different expertise, seniorities, and just huge amount of people. I don't think I've ever seen a room so filled as they were. But you would think there might be, issues with seniority, issues with who's doing what, so many people in there, what was everybody's role? But no, oh my word, it was as slick and calm as you can imagine. In fact, unbelievably calm. Everybody knew what their role was. Everybody stepped back until they were required. There was none of this, shall I go and get so-and-so, shall I go? Everybody knew what they had to do. It was phenomenal. And you would think under that kind of pressure and that kind of emergency situation, there might be some slight emotion, panic, energy, but no, it was incredibly calm. And of course it needed to be. So think about when you've been part of a great team, and what is it that makes it such a great team? Trust, cooperation, a shared goal. Everybody had that shared goal. And when you bring everybody along, you can then achieve far greater than ultimately the separate parts, as Mother Teresa said. So when I'm doing this in a big audience or in an organization, I ask them to brainstorm and work together in pairs or teams and brainstorm and record what they believe are the crucial elements to a successful and strong team. And I would recommend that perhaps you stop this film at this point and get a pen and paper and do exactly the same. What do you think are the crucial elements to a strong team? And don't forget, I'm not just thinking about organizational teams and work teams. I'm thinking about families or sports teams, or it can be an activity, a kind of a voluntary team or something like that, or your family or your friendships. What makes it such a strong team? Or maybe it's not a strong team, and why not? And how could it be improved? So really, really make this practical rather than listen to me too much. Now, once you've done that, I hope you come up with communication is a key element to what makes a strong team a strong team. All the research into good teams or not such good teams come up with communication. They regularly update to each other. They regularly know what's going on. I remember I was working with one quite dysfunctional team. They're very low morale, for example. That was a strong and very evident. And when I asked them what they felt was wrong and what ought to be addressed from their point of view, they felt that the bosses or the powers that be never updated them. They were only ever told things on a need-to-know basis. They never knew what the next change or the change in policy or whatever was going to be. And they hated that. That really knocked their confidence. They felt untrusted. They felt they weren't involved, they weren't respected, they weren't in the loop, they were treated like mushrooms kept in the dark. That really caused low morale. But also don't forget the communication is a two-way street. It's not just about updating everybody, it's also about listening and being a good listener. Now, I know when I run listening workshops, everybody overrates how well they believe they are at the skill of listening, and it genuinely is a really, really important skill, and it's a skill we are not taught. When we're at schools, the teachers say listen children, but they don't actually teach you how to listen. And I went through the training when I was training to be a coach. We had modules on how to listen and listen properly, fully. And it is a real skill. And when I run this, it is amazing how people quickly realize, oh my word, I thought I was a good listener, but in fact, maybe I'm not. And how they can improve quickly. At that time, I was also a sales rep, just as a sidebar. And whilst I was learning, or once I had learned proper listening skills, my sales technique really improved. And that's because I properly listened to the customer and found out their needs, and then could sell to their needs rather than talk at them. So listening skills is a phenomenal skill to have. It's well worth learning and working on in all areas of life. Certainly improves relationships and family dynamics and parenting if we can listen better. Certainly in sales, certainly in teaching and coaching, well, anything actually. I can't think of any area where it would not help if you improved your listening skills fractionally, let alone massively. Also, the other area in communication is that it's an opportunity to give encouragement and receive encouragement. It's a two-way thing as well, and lots of encouragement within teams is seen to be a positive thing. It's found in strong teams, so there's got to be all of that going on at the same time, and that all creates an environment where there are going to be fair and open and willing exchanges of new ideas. It's an essential ingredient of a harmonious team, to collaborate, to give ideas, to listen to ideas, to try ideas. That's what makes great communication, and therefore underpins a great team. So the question is the team that you're thinking about right now, has that got good communication within it? Could it be improved? Another area, efficiency. This will improve. A strong and cohesive team develops systems. So if you do exchange ideas and you are open and you do listen and you do communicate, your efficiency will improve by working together, improving everybody's capabilities of the individuals themselves. The whole group in general improves. The workload improves, your efficiency improves, you exchange ideas on how we could improve this system or that approach or this process. So it's an exchange of good ideas. As I've said here, when teams work well together, there will be an environment where it feels safer and more respected and more open and more trusting, where the environment where people can come up with those ideas. Actually, just the other day, just a local, small, tiny little example, but we've got a little village shop around our way, and they have weekend teenage staff to help at weekends. And one of my friend's sons was being trained up. He's got his first weekend job, and the woman was training him, and she gave him a clipboard and a sheet and a pen and said, right, you need to take this out to the stocks and the supplies and go and check that shelving area there and count how many bags of Maltesers we've got, how many bags packets of Twix, you know, count how many you've got, write it down against each item on the list here, and then take your sheet to the store cupboard and go and get supplies to replenish them, so you bring them back up to the full quota. And he looked at her and he said, why don't I just take a photo on my phone of the shelf, all the items, and then just take that into the cupboard and go and get what I need. Much, much quicker, much, much slicker, much more up to date. Brilliant idea. So, but because she was friendly, they got a good little relationship going. He felt safe and respected. He was able to put that in. And so that's what everybody does now. Much, much quicker approach. And support. So workplaces are full of challenges, they're full of deadlines, they're full of pressures, etc. But having a strong team, it's a kind of support mechanism. So, you know, I always say to clients, actually, when they come for coaching, whether it's a work issue or a home life issue, it knocks onto the other. So if they come with a work issue, it will impact on their home life and vice versa. And that's the same. So if you have a good, strong team, you might well experience situations where they have issues at home, some kind of issue going on, a struggle or a problem or a challenge. And work can be a great, or the team can be a great support for that, and vice versa. So they can help each other in with those sorts of areas. They can help each other with work issues or challenges and their professional development. They can all improve. If you develop your resources within, that's much easier for promotion, much easier for future recruitment. You keep hold of those team members. That's cheaper, that's less time consuming with re-recruitment. If people keep leaving, there'll be better attendance, less absenteeism and sick leave, etc., etc. All of those findings are found in strong teams, that they turn up for work more, they're more loyal, they're more committed, less sick leave, less turnover, etc. So not only do you all benefit, you actually financially benefit as well. If you want any other benefits and any other reasons to still ask for help from team members, give help to team members and improve your team, generally it's all of these reasons. We've pretty much touched on most of them, but productivity definitely improves. And ideas and innovation and processes all improve. Morale and happiness and commitment and loyalty, and definitely, and the support that people can give and receive each other within that team definitely improves. You make strong relationships and friendships, and often in those good teams, if you recall, you may well still be in touch with people from that, so their friendships can properly develop from them. And as I said, with evolution, we need that for mental health and well-being. We all improve with our communication skills. If we're not left in a corner, shoved in a corner and just told on a need to know basis, if we're drawn in and listened to, our communication skills and listening skills improve. There's flexibility. We can step up, fill in for other people, help in their roles, help in their tasks or their workload, etc. So there's lots of flexibility, lots of support. That in turn increases the skill set, the knowledge base, and the promotability of those staff as well. So we definitely need to develop and don't hold staff or team members back, because it's very short-sighted, very short-term as well. They will walk, they will go elsewhere, and it's not a win-win for anybody. From that, by developing their skills and their knowledge and their expertise, you are developing leadership qualities and you're future leaders for that team, because it facilitates their career progress. So all of it, I would say as well, expand your professional network. So go outside of that team to other teams and learn from them. If, in your profession, if you're a teacher, turn to other teachers in other schools, for example. Share best practice of other companies, other regions, other areas. If you're a company sort of divided up into regions or departments, turn to those as well and share best practice. And if you, I think this is one of the best ones as well, if you improve and look after your team and its people and yourself, and take care of those people, then they in turn will take care of your customers. A happy team gives good customer service. An unhappy, unhealthy, dysfunctional team, all that filtrates out and customers pick that up. Business will suffer. So it has such a knock-on effect in so many areas. So for this to be more practical, I would say to you, ask yourself these questions, both from an individual point of view of where do you need or what do you need help with individually? Is it around work, around your time management? Do you need to go on a time management course, an organizational skills course? Do you need some training about some skill sets or knowledge that you've got gaps in? Do you need some psychological counseling, coaching, stress management, some well-being help and support? Do you need some help with your nutrition or your weight or your fitness? Because that might be holding you back and impacting on everything, your work life, your health, your ability to concentrate, your ability to work hard because your energy is being drained, or relationships in or outside of work. Other issues with teenagers or aging parents that you might need some support on in work because it's having a knock-on effect, etc. Sleep, huge issue, sleep. If you get good sleep, you can focus, think more clearly, work better. Poor quality sleep has an impact on everything: your health, your concentration, your energy, your nutrition, everything. Or is it practical help that you need individually around the home, so that you maybe 2 or 3 hours a week get somebody in to help with the cleaning so you can focus on your company or your team or your work or whatever? Is it babysitting? Is it some gardening or shop, whatever? Where do you need some help individually, and who could provide it, and what benefits would it bring? Equally, what does the team need? Where are the gaps and the weaknesses in the team? Do you need a big team meeting? Do you need to talk about the shared goal? Do you need to make sure everybody's singing off the same hymn sheet? Do you want to hear their comments? Listen to them, listen to what they feel needs addressing. Do they need some skill set and training? Do they need some time management help, or some stress management, or work-life balance, or etc., etc.? So ask yourself these questions and find out where and what you could get some help with, both for you and for the overall team. And that can be, as I've said before, sports team, home team, work team, or all of the above. I say this every time: get rid of the BMWs in your teams, the bitching, the moaning, and the whinging. It helps nobody. It's negative, it's toxic, it's infectious, it spreads, it drags everyone down, and it does nothing for anyone. Whereas if you so zero tolerance for that, but if you can encourage and create a problem solving, solution based environment where you will mention what's perhaps not working, but you go into solution mode and solve it. Be open to ideas, be open to solutions, but do not tolerate the bitching and the moaning and the whinging. That needs to stop. It drags everybody down. So we've talked about this. We've talked about the fact that if you all pull together and you work towards achieving the shared goal, looking after each other, maximizing everybody's individual strengths, you maximize the team. So facilitate teamwork, facilitate improvement and growth, steer it all towards success, achievement, high morale, a sense of belonging, a sense of purpose. It will filtrate everywhere. You will retain that team. It will be a better place to work. You'll be more productive, healthier, happier. You'll all sleep better. It's a win-win, win-win, win-win-win all around. So it is not a weakness to ask for individual strength or help. It is not a weakness to ask for individual help, because you will benefit as an individual and get stronger. It is equally not a weakness to ask for help within the team or discuss where you could improve. So if everybody individually improves, the team benefits, and vice versa. You all win, you all benefit. So I hope that I have definitely squashed your reluctance to ask for help. You are not a burden, it is not a weakness, and you should not have to struggle on through. It doesn't benefit you or anybody else. Ask for help, talk about solutions, talk about the weaker areas and the gaps, and pull together on solving those gaps. Think about what you need, who, from whom, how, when, and where. Is it expert help, or is it support around you? And then, most importantly, when are you going to address it? So if you've sussed out that you need help, say from a nutritionist to sort your energy and your health out, when are you going to contact that nutritionist? Put it in the diary, commit to it, and make it happen. If it's that you're going to get in somebody to help you with the cleaning 3 hours a week, when are you going to find that person, get them on board, get them started? What day of the week would help? Would it be early in the week, Friday before the weekend, etc.? Make it happen. Don't just listen to this and think, oh, that was helpful, and then walk away and repeat what you've been always doing. Actually shake it up a little bit and make a change, and then see how that has an impact, a ripple effect in all areas of your life. Then start again and run this. Watch this, run this past you again, and look at the next areas. So my questions to finish with are, What 3 things are you going to stop doing? What 3 things are you going to start doing that haven't been doing previously? And what 3 things should you or could you do more of that you'd forgotten about? This is a bit of a refresher, a reminder. Much of your answers were already there, but you'd got into a routine and a bit of a rut. Hopefully, what today has done is to remind you and shake it all up a little bit so that from tomorrow, you will make a change, and that will increase the chances of a different outcome. If you repeat, you will much more likely to get the same outcome. Change it and get a different outcome and improvement. I hope you've enjoyed today. I hope it's helped. This is me. I'm Dawn Fiske. If you would like any one-to-one support and coaching or training, then this is where you can contact me. Equally, if you would like some teamwork or some organizational work or training, this is also where you can contact me. So I wish you lots and lots of strength in asking for some help, lots of change and improvement, and I look forward to talking to you on the next video. Take care now.